Well, good morning, everyone. Here's another Rollo Devo for you this morning from Genesis 39. Remember, yesterday we saw things go from bad to worse for Joseph. But at each stage, Moses tells us, remember, Moses wrote Genesis. He tells us that, quote, the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love. Even though circumstances were pretty bad for Joseph, God was with him, walking between him and the edge the whole time, like we saw yesterday with Aslan and Shasta in The Horse and His Boy. God's present with Joseph, Jesus' presence with us, keeps us going, even when times get hard. So today we're going to continue along that same line of thought, but look at the presence of God in Joseph and what that did through Joseph. See, this chapter does tell us that God made whatever Joseph did succeed, but we need to make sure we understand that and what it really means and what lessons we actually can learn from it. Because some people read this chapter and they think, look, how much God blessed Joseph. If you're faithful, God will bless you in the same way. Just be faithful and you'll have everything you need. Life will be great for you. But let's step back and remember how God gave success to Joseph and who actually received the material fruits of that blessing from God on Joseph. In Genesis chapter 39, Moses tells us that God caused all Joseph did, quote, to succeed in his hands, and, quote, the blessing of the Lord was on all that Potiphar had in house and field. But Joseph is still a slave. And all the money and wealth of God's blessing on Joseph were not enjoyed by Joseph, but were enjoyed by Potiphar, not Joseph. And the same is true at the end of the chapter where Joseph is in prison. Sure, again, it says there, whatever Joseph did, the Lord made it succeed. But again, Joseph is still a prisoner, and all the physical blessings that he got went to the guard, the head guard of the prison, not to him. In fact, even when Joseph is elevated to second in command right underneath Pharaoh, he is still a slave to Pharaoh, and he doesn't even have the freedom to go back to Canaan and check on his family. Oh, Joseph was blessed by God, by the presence of God in his life, but not so that he could have his best life now, but so that he could be used by God to be a blessing to others. In fact, this is just a small fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham in Genesis 12:3, where he says, through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Jesus is present with his people, and he keeps us going, keeps us from the edge so that we can keep going, but not so that we can have an easy life, have all the money or wealth or whatever it is we think we need to make life better for us. Sometimes you get those things, but most of the time Jesus is present with us and keeping us from the edge so that we can be a blessing to others, like God did with Joseph. You see, Christians know that Christ is between us and the edge the whole time, like Aslan was with Shasta, so he didn't fall off the cliff, as we talked about yesterday. So that means we don't have to spend our time worrying about ourselves, and therefore we can look around us and think about how we can help others. We don't have to go to the grocery store trying to buy up all of the toilet paper and hoard it in our house because, we think we need it, and we think we're going to be in danger. We don't have to sit around pouting about our situation or checking the internet for coronavirus updates every few minutes and stressing over it for our situation. We don't have to do any of that because Jesus is with us, between us and the edge all the time. Instead, we can trust his provision. We can trust his handling of this situation. And then we can go in and we can check on our classmates, our neighbors, our relatives, and see how they are. Like Joseph, Jesus' blessing allows us to be a blessing to others. Through texts, through emails, through phone calls, through video chats, Marco Polo messages, whatever it is that you use. So think about that. How can you be a blessing to someone else in your life today? Because Jesus is present with you. You guys think about that, and I'll see you tomorrow.